Hey, this is Owen. If you're comfortable, leave your first name and state at the sound of the tiny truck backing up.
Hey, this is Lou. I was just halfway through your episode with Bakker from today, and it made me think something. He talked about the left, and I wonder, over time, have they not been minimizing their own base in a church standpoint by demonizing the left inside the church? I'm just curious about that because it seems like they are potentially making themselves smaller by making church a political platform rather than a spiritual one. I'd really love if you could kind of touch on that and give some depth on your thought. And just for the record, if your wife's cool with it, I'll snuggle with both of you and cuddle you both. Love you, man. Love you to death. I hope you'd have a great day.
All right, I appreciate it. I will find out. We'll get back to you on that last part there. As far as Jim Bakker targeting the left and getting into politics and things like that, you're right that to some degree it does isolate his listeners. It does isolate his fan base, his followers, his viewers. But it creates enthusiasm. This is like a measurable effect in politics and religion and everything else that people try to get. When you get emotional, when you talk about how the left is destroying you and how you're suffering, this persecution complex thing, it generates enthusiasm from the people listening. It generates sympathy and camaraderie, loyalty. That is why people talk about being persecuted by their enemies. So yes, Jim Bakker talking about being persecuted like that and getting into politics more, it does kind of narrow his field a little bit more. But there is a specific subset of religion that has basically seamlessly integrated politics into it. And that's the crowd that Jim Bakker kind of targets. So the enthusiasm factor will increase his donations dramatically. Say he has 300,000 listeners. I don't know that that's accurate. I'm just throwing out a number. Say he has 300,000 listeners. He starts getting really, really political and blaming the left for all of his problems. Now he has 200,000 listeners, but on average, instead of each listener donating $5, now that he's gone down to 200,000 listeners, each one is so emotionally invested in what's happening, trying to protect him and help him survive as a corporation, that now they're averaging $50 per donation just for those 200,000 people. The other 100,000 stopped donating and left. That is dramatically more money than he had before, by like a wide margin. That is why he tries to build enthusiasm. That's why Trump wants to build enthusiasm, and that's how cults do it too. Cults have always tried to build enthusiasm and be kind of totalitarian structures that control every aspect of your life so that they can manipulate you into being more enthusiastic than you otherwise would be. Tyler Cross, are you ever going to challenge the Majority Report on the cults? Probably not. For context, the Majority Report had somebody named Amanda Montell on their program to talk about cults. She was terribly wrong in like every way. She contradicted the experts and the scientific papers on this subject non-stop. Basically, the entire book, Cultish, was wrong. After looking into her a little more, it turns out she isn't even a psychologist. She's a linguist. She shouldn't have overreached into the field of psychology. I was excited to hear what she had to say on the subject of cult language, but I couldn't even get past the first chapter of the book. I paid $30 for it, and it was a waste of my money. I couldn't even make it through the full interview. It was a constant stream of misinformation from beginning to end. I wish the Majority Report had vetted her a little bit more before bringing somebody on who knows so little about cults, but here we are. I tweeted at the Majority Report. If they respond, then they respond. I might debunk the book myself at some point. Anyways, back to the clip. That's a good question. I'm probably not going to. If other people want to, they're welcome to on my behalf. I posted a comment and it got downvoted and I got yelled at in their comments section. So I just don't think they're really that open to it. Maybe I'll send them an email or something. But I'm very non-confrontational. I don't like calling people out, you know? I don't want to put this down on full display as a mistake that the majority report made right in front of them. Like, they did make a mistake. They invited somebody on who is contradicting the science. That's wrong. But I don't want to shred them for it. I don't want to attack them for it. I don't want to talk shit about them and tear them down and all that stuff. That's just not who I am. I believe they have good intentions, the majority report, and I love their reporting. I love listening to their show. In fact, I've been listening to it a lot lately. But that one thing just really fucking got to me, man. It really got to me.
Hey, Owen, there is one thing that just really bugs the living shit out of me that I wish that you would point out once in a while, is that you have these ministers, and they all have, a number of them always seem to have that painting of George Washington allegedly praying at Valley Forge. That painting is from 1975, painted by another religious nutcase. There is no proof or evidence anywhere that Washington ever knelt beside his damn horse and prayed in the goddamn snow. That is imagination, just like Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, and Jesus.
I appreciate it. It sounds like you're a little worked up there. I understand, 100%, absolutely understand how you feel, how pissed off that makes you feel, absolutely. But FYI, that's propaganda. That's what it is. I actually wanted to pull this up real quick out of curiosity because I've never even seen this picture before. I've never even heard of this picture. So let me see if I can find it. This is the picture. I've never seen this before. I hadn't even heard about it. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me to know that people are basically retroactively going back and trying to change history to be more religious than it is. They've done that since day one. And I absolutely understand your annoyance at that kind of thing. We do just have to call this shit out when we see it. We can't let people get away with rewriting history to be more favorable to what they want it to be, rather than what it was.
Hello, this is Scott from Georgia, and I just wanted to know, is it illegal to have a pastor come and talk to a religious club or sports program?
That's a good question. Actually, I don't know. It's not illegal, I don't think, but it depends on the situation. I'm not a legal scholar or a lawyer or anything, so I'm not the person to ask. Don't take this as legal advice, but I believe, based on just the rudimentary research that I've done, I think that it's okay to have a pastor there under certain conditions. For example, if the pastor is the leader of one of the clubs at school, then the pastor is allowed to be there. In Kylie's case, she actually, like when we lived in West Virginia, and she was in, I don't know, maybe 3rd or 4th grade, she came home with a, like, Good News Club flyer. It was like a bring your Bible to school day thing. They were trying to get kids to bring their Bibles to school. And I was fucking upset. So I did a little digging and found out that since it's a school-sponsored club, they're allowed to have the teachers pass out flyers for it at the end of the day if they want. Any school-sponsored club can do that. And anybody can be a club at the school, basically. They accept Satanists and atheists and evangelicals, religious wingnuts, right-wing extremists, left-wing extremists, everybody. They accept everybody. It's completely fair, or it's supposed to be, even if it isn't. That's the idea behind it. It's supposed to be fair. So if the pastor is like part of a school club, then that is legal. But I don't know your exact situation. There may be more information that I don't have that changes those premises, so you should look into it a little bit more for yourself.
Hey Owen, I'm Addison from Indiana. I was just wondering, what do you think the chances of Trump winning in 2024 are, assuming he runs for the Republicans? My personal take on the matter, if I may.
Before I get your personal take on it, I just wanted to give you my idea on this. I think it's very likely he's going to run. In fact, I would say 99% chance that he's going to run. And he will probably get the primary nomination. Like, he'll become the candidate for the general election, I'm very sure. Certainly if he runs, he will. And if that happens, democracy is in trouble. Again, let me listen to your take on it.
My personal take on the matter, if I may share it real quick, is that I think that current Republicans are not challenging Trump because his words right now will hold direct sway over a midterm election. But I feel like after the midterms, he's going to diminish in power in the party, and we may not even see him run in 2024, or at least not make it past primaries. I don't know. That's just my take. What do you feel about his chances?
I think if he was ever going to become irrelevant to the Republican Party, then it would have happened after the events of January 6th. I think if it was going to happen, it would have been then, and it wasn't. I think he's got some level of a stranglehold on the party forever, until people realize that there are things more important than their political careers, like democracy. Liz Cheney, for example, Republican, has spoken out against Trump and largely been ostracized from the party as a result. I believe she was like removed from responsibilities or roles in committees and things like that. They completely disrespected her. They don't listen to her anymore. They don't work with her anymore. It's pretty fucking sad. All because she said that Trump lost the election ultimately. That was like the catalyst that kind of started this ball rolling downhill. If it were going to happen, I think it would have been then, and it didn't work. So I think Trump probably has a grip on the Republican Party forever. I don't think the majority of senators and House members even like him or want him, but they love their political careers more than they want to call him out. And that's really at issue here. That's the problem. If they ever grow a pair, if you will, things will change. Until they do, Trump is the de facto leader because he's ready to go down with the ship. Trump is ready to do anything, literally anything, to get in power again. Just for the sake of having it. He will burn any bridge. He will destroy democracy, destroy the fucking United States if he could, whatever it takes to take control. He will rule it or see it burned to ashes around him. I think that's his mindset. And that should be pretty fucking disturbing to everybody.
This is Sarah from Denmark. When I was 10, I debated my mom on why I should get to read Harry Potter. I lost. No one ever asked me to say the prayers at dinner, because even they knew I wouldn't. You know, I just had those early moments of kind of questioning the religion. So did you have any of those? Was there anything in the religion, even small, that didn't make sense to you or that caused you to question early on? Thanks. Bye.
Interesting question. The answer to the question is no, not really. I wasn't allowed to read Harry Potter either, and that did disappoint me to some degree, and I may have disagreed with my mom on this thing or that thing a little bit, but I blamed it on my mom or my dad, not on Jehovah's Witnesses. I was so completely, fully invested in the belief system that I was willing to believe literally anything. I would have been willing to believe anything that the Jehovah's Witnesses wanted me to. And that is fucking disturbing. There are people out there right now with that same headspace. I'm not 100% sure how we break through to these people to try to help them find their way out. But we've got to do something, man, because that is unhealthy. Being willing to believe absolutely anything. I have an idea on how much to make these prophets lose all credibility in front of their audience. Set up a James Randi experiment like how he showed psychics being frauds. That is a good idea, and we definitely should do that. But even if they did, they wouldn't lose credibility. I was just talking about this earlier on the pre-show. The Arizona audit finished, right? And they determined that Biden won. The people who were checking the paper for bamboo fibers came to the realization that Biden won the county, period. Biden won. Fox News, of all people, reported that the audit concluded Biden won it. And so did Reuters and AP News and all of them. They all announced that Biden won because that's the results that the audit had. But guess who didn't accept that? Donald Trump. Donald Trump came out and said the audit results showed that I won. So I went in and I watched the entire 3-hour presentation from the audit people, like from Cyber Ninja, the company who did the audit, and from the senator and the president of whatever it was. I watched the entire fucking presentation. They obviously had a bias. It was clear they had a bias for Trump. But they did admit Biden won. They counted ballots that showed that Biden won, and they were legitimate ballots that they counted. So what can you do? That is what it is. But the fact is, Trump lied about it. Now, did his reputation go down as a result of that lie? Of course not. People just believed it. People will believe anything if you're saying what they want to hear. Kent Hovind and Hank Kunneman and all these other prophets, they're saying what people want to hear. They're going to believe them no matter how ridiculous it is.